November 9th, 1989. Berlin was about to witness a night that changed history forever. For 28 years, this concrete barrier split families, friends, and an entire nation. The wall stretched more than 150 kilometers around West Berlin. Guard towers watched every movement, day and night. Crossing without permission could cost someone their freedom, or even their life. The wall became the world's most famous symbol of the Cold War. Life on each side looked completely different. Families separated in 1961 had waited decades to reunite. By 1989, change was spreading across Eastern Europe. Communist governments were beginning to lose control. Pressure on East Germany increased every single week. Thousands demanded freedom to travel and speak openly. East German leaders struggled to stop the growing movement. Then came a press conference that changed everything. Official Günter Schabowski answered a simple question. He mistakenly suggested new travel rules were effective immediately. Television stations broadcast the news across East Germany. Millions couldn't believe what they were hearing. People rushed toward the border checkpoints. Nobody knew if the guards would open the gates. Border guards received confusing and conflicting orders. The crowd kept growing larger every minute. People demanded to cross peacefully. The guards hesitated under enormous pressure. No one wanted violence that night. The world watched events unfold live on television. History was changing minute by minute. Then an incredible decision was made. The checkpoint finally opened. Strangers embraced, cried, and celebrated as Berlin's division began to end. The first East Berliners walked through the checkpoint in stunned silence. Within seconds, silence turned into thunderous cheers. Many crossed the border for the first time in decades. Some people simply stood still, unable to believe they were finally free. Families who had been separated embraced once again. Many cried tears they had waited nearly 30 years to shed. Cars crossed the border as crowds applauded every driver. West Berlin welcomed strangers with flowers and applause. Champagne bottles popped across the city that unforgettable night. Television cameras captured every emotional moment. Soon people climbed onto the wall itself. Music, laughter, and hope filled the cold November air. Some carried candles, others waved German flags. The border guards watched without stopping the celebrations. Their orders had become impossible to enforce. The wall was losing its power before everyone's eyes. People began striking the concrete with hammers and chisels. Every broken piece became a symbol of freedom. These souvenir hunters became known as wall peckers. The celebration continued long after midnight. News spread rapidly across Europe and the world. Newspapers rushed to print historic headlines before sunrise. World leaders praised the peaceful breakthrough. Berlin had become the center of the world's attention. For many, fear had been replaced by hope. The Cold War had entered a dramatic new chapter, yet the wall itself still stretched across Berlin. Its complete removal would take many more months, but on that remarkable night, history had already changed forever. Next came the difficult task of reuniting a divided nation. Morning revealed a city transformed by one unforgettable night. Thousands returned to see the open border with their own eyes. Tourists and journalists poured into Berlin from around the world. Every newspaper called it a historic turning point. People continued crossing freely through newly opened checkpoints. Friends reunited after decades of separation. Street musicians filled Berlin with songs of hope. Artists transformed grey concrete into colorful symbols of freedom. The wall became a canvas instead of a barrier. Small pieces of concrete became treasured souvenirs. Demand for Berlin wall pieces spread across the world. East Germany's government rapidly lost its remaining authority. Political reforms accelerated faster than anyone expected. Citizens demanded free elections and democratic change. The Cold War's balance was beginning to shift dramatically. Other Eastern European nations soon followed similar paths. The Soviet Union chose not to intervene militarily. This decision reduced fears of another major confrontation. Engineers soon prepared to remove sections of the wall. Cranes and excavators replaced guard patrols. Concrete barriers that once divided millions began disappearing. Crowds applauded every section that came down. Children played where soldiers once stood guard. Berlin slowly became one city again. Businesses reopened connections across the divided capital. Roads once blocked by concrete reopened to traffic. Railway and subway routes connected Berlin once more. On October 3, 1990, Germany officially reunited. The division that lasted nearly 29 years had ended. But the story of the Berlin Wall still shapes the world today. Even today, parts of the wall remain standing as reminders of the past. Millions of visitors come to Berlin every year to see them. The East Side Gallery became the world's longest open-air art gallery. Each painting tells a different story of freedom and hope. Some wall sections were sent to museums around the world. Others stand in public squares as symbols against division. The wall once measured about 155 kilometers around West Berlin. More than 300 watchtowers guarded the border. Guard dogs, fences, and barriers made escape extremely difficult. Yet many still risked everything for freedom. Some escaped through hidden tunnels beneath the wall. Others used homemade hot air balloons to flee East Germany. Many escape attempts succeeded, but many others failed. Historians estimate that at least 140 people died at the Berlin Wall. Their stories remain an important part of Berlin's history. Today, schools teach these events to future generations. The wall reminds the world how quickly freedom can disappear. It also shows how peaceful change can reshape history. Berlin transformed from a divided city into Germany's capital again. New buildings rose where barriers once stood. Only traces now reveal where the border once ran. Visitors can still walk the path of the former wall. Museums preserve original documents, uniforms, and personal stories. Eyewitnesses continue sharing memories of that extraordinary night. Many describe it as the happiest night of their lives. Their experiences keep history alive for new generations. The fall of the wall became a global symbol of hope. Its lessons continue to influence international politics and diplomacy. History remembers November 9, 1989, as a night of peaceful change. One unexpected announcement changed Berlin and inspired the world. The Berlin Wall stood from 1961 until its border opening in 1989. For nearly 28 years, it divided one city into two worlds. The border opening happened without a planned military operation. Confusion, public pressure, and peaceful crowds changed history that night. The opening showed the power of non-violent public action. Soon, border crossings across Berlin were fully opened. Concrete barriers slowly disappeared from the city's streets. The scars remained, but Berlin began to heal. Rebuilding trust took far longer than removing concrete. Economic and social differences continued after reunification. Even today, historians continue studying the wall's lasting impact. Original documents reveal how quickly events unfolded that evening. Photographs preserved moments that words alone could never capture. Those images inspired millions around the globe. The Cold War itself would soon come to an end. Germany officially reunited on October 3, 1990. Berlin once again became the capital of a united Germany. The wall's story became a lesson taught around the world. Its message reaches far beyond Germany's borders. Freedom can begin with ordinary people making extraordinary choices. One peaceful night reshaped Europe's future forever. The Berlin Wall became history, but its lessons remain. Every remaining fragment tells a powerful human story, a story of separation, courage, and peaceful change. History remembers the people who refused to give up hope. Their courage helped reunite a nation without a major battle. The wall once divided millions. Today, it unites memories. Berlin's greatest landmark is no longer a barrier, but a reminder. Sometimes history changes not with explosions, but with open gates. The Berlin Wall didn't simply fall in one night. A peaceful border opening on November 9, 1989, began the end of a divided Germany and changed the world forever.